Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some extremely spicy battles in the Ultra Fantasy Cup, featuring the hardest counter to Giratina origin in the meta, level 50 Wigglytuff. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now the entire team is filled with spice picks. On the lead, Firefang Reshiram with Shock Drive Genesect and the star of the show, XL Wigglytuff in the back. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and watch some Giratinas get destroyed by XL Wigglytuff. Hopping into the first match, picking up the dream lead, Firefang Reshiram into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Opponent stays in to start, sees its Firefang, safe switches into Giratina Origin, which meets its hardest counter in the meta, level 50 Wigglytuff. This matchup is so one-sided that a Great League 1500 CP Wigglytuff would also emerge victorious. As it stands, level 50 Wigglytuff comfortably gets the charm down and leaves with a lot of energy to pressure the Sandslash with resisted damage. And Sandslash actually ends up giving up a shield, the opponent in an incredibly difficult situation, as not only have they given up switch advantage, but they're down a shield as well. Sandslash goes for the drill run, that's not going to KO. Wigglytuff able to hang on and make it to another Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice will get the Sandslash low. We see a switch into the Reshiram. Reshiram goes for the snipe, but unfortunately Sandslash hangs on and fires off the drill run. In the back, opponent is running Haxorus. Haxorus will fire off the Breaking Swipe, and this will be lethal. The good news is that the Wigglytuff being on 1 HP means that the Genesect will be able to reset the inevitable attack drop from the Breaking Swipe from Haxorus. Haxorus going for the Breaking Swipe as soon as it gets it, and we see the immediate no shield from the Genesect. Genesect, not the tankiest Pokemon around, but even so will be able to withstand that damage and the counters after. Magnet Bomb will get shielded from the Haxorus, going for the catch, but the opponent shows great patience, holding on to their energy. Have to watch for a potential catch here. Breaking Swipe will get the final shield, farming up with the Genesect. There's the attempt at the catch, great patience, and that will be game over as debuffed Magnet Bomb will secure the KO onto Haxorus. We see a dream lead again in the next match. Firefang Reshiram into Scizor. Scizor will get absolutely melted here. Opponent is going to save switch into Clefable, and that will immediately be hard punished by the Shock Drive Genesect. Genesect can tank whatever they throw here, and with Fairy Wind, they're never going to be able to fast move down the Genesect. So Genesect just has to begin to spam out these Magnet Bombs. Magnet Bomb number 1 deals massive damage to the Clefable, and making it to Magnet Bomb number 2. Now this will be lethal. The Clefable has very minimal health remaining. They're just going to let it go and send in Giratina. Now unfortunately, no Technoblast Ice here, so forced to settle for the Magnet Bomb. Magnet Bomb will be no-shielded by the opponent. Looking for the farm down. Opponent does get the farm down, but their Giratina is now stuck against Wigglytuff. Now this is the altered form, so it can run Ancient Power, which will hit for neutral here, but still a pretty thoroughly miserable matchup for the Giratina. They go for Ancient Power number 2. They know the moment they switch, they're gonna get absolutely shredded with Firefang. Look at Reshiram go. Reshiram will be able to tank this Night Slash very comfortably. It doesn't matter whether they boost or not, they're getting absolutely deleted. Back in comes the Giratina, but the Giratina now has a big problem. It's just running out of HP here, shielding up the Fusion Flare, but they're going to be forced to throw a move, and the moment they do, you can just send in the Wigglytuff and commit to the Charm Down. Dragon Claw secures the KO. Back in comes Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff going for the 2 shield flex, tanking the Ancient Power, and that's game over. Reshiram picking up all the leads as it leads in this next match into a Escavalier. And the Escav is staying in. They are absolutely core broken to shreds by Reshiram. Unfortunately, Escav does make the last second drill run here. Reshiram commits the shield. It's the Acid Spray. You hate to see it, but then the opponent sends in Registeel. So they're very clearly just triple weak to Firefang Reshiram here. Reshiram going for the Fusion Flare, and that gets shielded by the opponent. Honestly, if they're triple weak, do you just try and preserve the Reshiram here? I do actually like the shield. Opponent goes for the Resistant Flash Cannon, but since they did go for the Acid Spray, that is going to be enough to KO. Making it to another Fusion Flare. Looks like that may have been a CMP tie here, and it is. Opponent shielding as well, so Reshiram taking out 1.5 Pokemon, and now it's up to that spicy backline of Shock Drive Genesect and Wigglytuff. Genesect very fast with Fury Cutter, able to make it to the Technoblast, and Technoblast will get rid of the Registeel. In the back, they have Shadow Ace Slash, and the opponent concedes the match. Tough lead in the next match, Fire Fang Reshiram into Giratina, but the opponent doesn't check the fast move. They save switch into Excadrill, and they are getting absolutely punished by massive super effective damage from Fire Fang. Reshiram able to get the full farm down and leaving with a lot of energy. My guess is the opponent is probably going to be sending back in that Giratina now that they know it is Fire Fang, but a costly mistake from the opponent. Reshiram overfarming quite a lot, going for the resisted Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare into the Giratina will be shielded. Reshiram farming up and now going for the Stone Edge. Stone Edge will hit for some heavy neutral damage here. Giratina is going to let that go. Giratina leaves with all this energy. It goes nowhere into the Wigglytuff. In the back, they have Shadow Alolan Sandslash. So again, I know Wigglytuff is here to delete the Giratinas, but it feels like Fire Fang Reshiram is stealing the show a little bit. Farming up. I believe that is a CMP tie with the Genesect. Very nicely done there. Magnet Bomb will be shielded. It is a CMP tie. Now we're going to see Genesect actually commit the shield, because ideally you want to get more chip damage, and going to make it to the electric type Techno Blast here. That will do big damage, getting them to 1 HP. In comes the Wigglytuff. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Reshiram with another great lead as it leads into A-Slash. Opponent save switches into Haxorus, and Haxorus will be answered with Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff looking for the charm down. Haxorus, I believe that is enough for the Earthquake here, and Wigglytuff will commit a shield. So Wigglytuff leaves this matchup very healthy, but had to give up a shield to do so, which is a bit uncomfortable. Going to fire off the Disarming Voice, and the opponent is going to let that through. Opponent recognizing health on the A-Slash is pretty useless considering it's going to be aligned against the Fire Fang Reshiram, so the opponent has to trust in their final Pokemon to sweep. Wigglytuff able to make it to another Disarming Voice, and again, my guess is we're going to see a no shield from the opponent. They know they can tank it in the back. It's Tapu Fini, and this is exactly why this trainer is running the electric type Techno Blast on their Genesect instead of the more commonly used Ice or Fire. Now going to build up to the electric Techno Blast, baiting with a Magnet Bomb. That gets the shield. Farming up with the Genesect, able to make it to the Techno Blast, but just gets outpaced by the Fini. Surf gets the Genesect low. Genesect making it to the electric Techno Blast. Do they respect it? Yes, they do. Oh no, that is not what you're hoping to see. And this is looking very difficult here, as Reshiram is probably going to need to leave with a move to win this game. Surf from Tapu Fini does a lot of damage. Reshiram farming up, trying to make it to the back-to-back Fusion Flares, and gets there. This has to KO for this to be a win. Fusion Flare into the Fini, barely does not KO, and that's game over. Hopping into the next match, Fire Fang Reshiram, you guessed it, leads into another terrific lead. It's another A-Slash. Opponent save switches into Galarian Weezing, and this is honestly a problem Pokemon for this team. As you can see, Galarian Weezing has the Poison subtyping to resist Charm from the Wigglytuff, and it can learn Overheat, which would absolutely obliterate the Genesect. Going for the Fusion Flare, that does big damage. We see a switch into the Genesect. Question is, are they running Overheat? We see the shield at the last second. It is just a brutal swing from the Weezing. Fury Cutter is double resisted here, but Genesect is able to get the farm down. That's quite nice. If the opponent is going to send back in the A-Slash, which they do, Magnet Bomb will hit for some pretty nice neutral damage. Very close to the back-to-back Magnet Bombs here. Magnet Bomb number 1 connects onto the A-Slash and making it to Magnet Bomb number 2. This should just about be lethal here. Opponent is going to shield up the A-Slash, and they're firing off a charge move right away. Drill Run will not be lethal. The question is, can the A-Slash farm down after? We see a simultaneous switch. Tried to go for a snipe with Reshiram, and Reshiram will be met with Fini. Fini throws energy, and honestly, that is preferred. You would so much rather the opponent throw energy than the opponent potentially farming down and leaving with energy to threaten the Wigglytuff. In comes the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is going to be no shielding here as Tapu Fini fires off the Surf. Surf does some solid chip damage. We're going to see the Disarming Voice fired by the Wigglytuff. Opponent only has 1 shield remaining, and they're using it here. They're shielding the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini firing off a Surf, and we see a shield from the Wigglytuff. Switch timer is up. In comes the Sandslash. Sandslash cannot farm down. We see the switch into the Genesect. They're forced to fire off an Ice Punch here. Ice Punch will be lethal. Back in comes the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff makes the Disarming Voice. This is resisted, but it will be enough to KO. It's going to be a race. Water Gun versus Charm. Wigglytuff versus the Tapu Fini, and Wigglytuff takes the game. Picking up a neutral lead in the next match, Reshiram into Galarian Weezing. As we saw last game, it's definitely preferable to catch Galarian Weezing on the lead with this team, as due to its unique typing and coverage, it's definitely a problem spot for the backline. Brutal Swing will be no-shielded, Reshiram over-farming slightly, and going for the Fusion Flare. This is going to hurt. Opponent commits the shield. We see a save switch into the Genesect. Opponent is going to make sure to grab a shield from the Genesect before they send in their counter swap. They go for the Brutal Swing. We now see the counter switch, and it's a Escavalier. Escavalier, we've got the battle of the Bug Steels, going for the electric type Techno Blast, and Genesect deals massive damage to the Escav. And now Genesect, if it wants, can shield, Fury Cutter down, and not only leave with switch advantage, but a lot of energy as well. So the opponent in a bit of an awkward spot here where they can't necessarily send back in the Weezing, so they're going to send in the Melmetal. I mean, this Techno Blast is still going to hurt. Melmetal farming up. They're firing off a charge move. I believe that was only 4 Thundershocks. If so, that's the double Iron Bash. It is. That's not going to KO. They try and switch into the Weezing, but they end up catching a Magnet Bomb, and they're forced to commit a shield. Back in comes Reshiram, and we see the switch and catch onto Wigglytuff, catching the Brutal Swing. Very nicely done. Wigglytuff in a bit of an uncomfortable situation here where the charms are resisted, but the good news is the Weezing had already taken a lot of damage, so Weezing is very susceptible here to those charms. They go for the overheat, and they make the last second charge move. Wigglytuff can't quite get the charm down. It's all up to Reshiram to finish the fight. Reshiram takes out the Weezing. Back in comes the Melmetal. Melmetal firing off the charge move here. Is it the double Iron Bash? Is it the Rock Slide? It's the double Iron Bash, and that's gonna be game over. Picking up a very tough lead in the next match, Reshiram into Shadow Flygon. We're going to need to see an immediate save switch into the Genesect, and the Flygon is more than happy to stay in here. Genesect going to strike first, firing off the Magnet Bomb. Magnet Bomb will be shielded by the Glassy Flygon. Now this is an incredibly tough call to make. Are they baiting? Are they full sending? Commits the shield. It's the Dragon Claw bait. Now Genesect has no hope of winning this matchup. Genesect is going to let this through. It's the Earth Power, and that is going to KO. Now in comes Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff looking for the farm down. Opponent staying in here. I don't believe they're able to make it to the Earth Power. It is just going to be the Dragon Claw. Let's see what is here to meet the Wigglytuff. It's a Registeel. In comes the Reshiram, and Reshiram will be answered by an Ultra League Xerneas. Xerneas will be met with a Fusion Flare. This is going to hurt. Xerneas not nearly as tanky in the Ultra League as it is in the Master League. Xerneas continuing to farm up here. We're going to see a no shield from the Reshiram as Xerneas fires off the close combat. Xerneas is at the back-to-back moves here, but this is actually problematic for the opponent, as with the close combats, Reshiram gets the farm down and should be able to make a Fusion Flare into the Registeel. That is absolutely massive. Fusion Flare deals big damage. The Registeel cannot, oh my goodness, I was going to say they cannot farm down. And we see the beautiful catch onto the Wigglytuff of the Flash Cannon. Reshiram Fire Fangs down and gets the win. Moving into the next match, and we see another tough lead, Reshiram into Giratina Altered. Honestly, Giratina on the lead is a core breaker for this team. Going to save switch into the Shock Drive Genesect, but this is not a positive matchup for Shock Drive Genesect whatsoever. Opponent will go for the Shadow Sneak. They're now going to send in Haxorus. Haxorus farming up. Genesect has so much energy here, going for the Magnet Bomb. Magnet Bomb will be shielded by the Haxorus. Farming up and going for Magnet Bomb number 2. This is going to hurt if they let it through. Opponent is going to no-shield. It's a race, but the Haxorus lives with a sliver of HP. In comes the Wigglytuff. The guess is they probably just blind breaking swiped, and they did, so Wigglytuff will be able to comfortably no-shield. What is the opponent going to do here? The Wigglytuff is debuffed. Are they running Triple Dragon? No, they are not. They have Berserker in the back. Berserker taking massive damage from the Reshiram. Reshiram just going to let this close combat go, understanding that the Giratina will be brought in. And thankfully, Reshiram is able to make the Stone Edge on fractional HP here, and Stone Edge actually gets shielded by the opponent. That's quite surprising to me, as now they're potentially in a position where the Wigglytuff can farm down and go for a couple charms plus a Disarming Voice into that Berserker. Opponent realizes that it's over and concedes the match. Hopping into the final match, and Reshiram is met with one final great lead as it leads into Escavalier. And as last time, the Escav is staying in here. We know they can live the 7th Fire Fang with a small amount of HP and force a shield from the Reshiram. Reshiram commits the shield, and like last time, it's another Acid Spray. Opponent going to send in a Charm Alolan Ninetales. So it looks like another team that is just triple weak to fire. We see a pivot now into the Genesect. Genesect farming up energy here and going for the Magnet Bomb. This is double super effective damage into the Ninetales. Ninetales is going to let that through, and in the back, they have Clefable. So a team just completely core broken by the Fire Fang Reshiram. Now Wigglytuff, its ability to destroy Giratinas is amazing, but I'll be honest, Fire Fang Reshiram stole the show a little bit. Like Fire Fang Reshiram, it seems like people are just completely unprepared for it, and it can often KO 2 or even an entire 3 teammates from opponents. In comes the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff will be able to absorb the Meteor Mash here. This hits for super effective damage, but Wigglytuff does not care as it gets the farm down. In a meta where there's an extremely dominant Pokemon, a lot of the times you're going to see some very fun spice picks pop up to counter it. And that's exactly the case here. Giratina Origin has an argument for either the best or probably the second best Pokemon in this meta. People like to use it a lot, so you can honestly see some very interesting anti-meta spice play with some of its harder counters, as you can see here, much like Wigglytuff. But I've got to say, man, that Fire Fang Reshiram really felt like it stole the show. So definitely something to consider in these final days of the Fantasy Cup. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.